Welcome everyone to the Ultimate Beginner's Guide to Age of Empires 4. This is a guide designed for new players and players that are Platinum and below. For the veterans out there might be a few tips and tricks in here that might be helpful for you as well. Let me know if I missed anything in the comments below, and leave a like if you enjoy this type of content and want to see more of it in the future. It really does help out the channel a lot. Before I get fully into the guide, I just want to say please play the Art of War tutorial in Age of Empires 4. Make sure you get at least a silver or gold and above in all 6 of the mini-games. Now let's get right into the most fun / stressful part when you first get the game and you decide you want to play multiplayer. Which civilization to select. If you're completely new to the RTS genre, you might want to select one of the 2 1-star civilizations that Age of Empires 4 has. The first one would be the English. The English have a very safe way of play. They have a very powerful TC that protects you early on from raids. They have incredibly safe and easy and reliable food. They also have an incredibly easy landmark situation system where they have 1 TC, 1 defensive one in terms of castle age. And they also have very strong early game and late game. And if the English aren't for you and you love cavalry, then may I suggest starting as a French main. They have the best unit in the game, the French Knights, great for early raiding, and also just an overall powerful unit. On top of that, they have incredibly fast villager production, and they have incredibly easy builds to learn and master as throughout the game. If you played another RTS game such as StarCraft 2, then you might be open to trying something a little bit more difficult that requires a little bit more APM. For you, the first civilization I recommend are the Abbasid. This economic powerhouse only gets better with age. Literally, after Castle Age, it just keeps getting better and better. They have unique units like the Gulam and the Camel Archers. They have an incredibly easy landmark selection system with basing out of 1 building, which is all in all a nice thing for new players. And in terms of Imperial Age, there's nothing better than a strong late-game Abbasid. The second civilization I'd recommend is the HRE, or the Holy Roman Empire. They have an incredibly strong economic advantage against most civilizations with their landmarks such as the House of Swabia and the Arcane Chapel. They have juice defensive buffs to survive the early game, an incredible late game emergency repairs, and some of the best men-at-arms in the entire game. Civilizations I would not recommend for any new players. Would stay away from these for sure. First up on this coveted list is the Delhi Sultanate. Would highly recommend staying away from them as they're so easy to punish early game, and they require so much APM for almost no return on investment. The second civilization on this list is the Chinese. They have imperial officials that take a ton of APM to actually get the return on investment for the gold they're taxing per your villagers. And then on top of that, the Chinese make it very difficult to defend feudal age pushes, especially by early game players like the English and French. Once you have selected your civilization that you'd like to play in Age of Empires 4, take it and play against the AI against all difficulties and practice these tips and tricks. The first thing on this list is the most obvious to all veteran Age of Empires 4 players. It's to always be building villagers no matter what the circumstances. Make sure your town center is never idle. One trick that I did learn from Kelsier to always make sure that you're building villagers is to go into your setting, go into the control section, then select view and remap controls. Go to the building selection tab and then scroll down to select all town centers. You're going to want to bind this to one of your mouse keys or any one that makes you feel comfortable, and just practice against the AI hitting that same button about every 15 seconds and then just mashing Q. This will always make sure that you're always building villagers no matter what civilization you select, and it will keep you in the driver's seat of every game that you're playing in all the way up until gold or platinum. Now let's get into the basic counter system in Age of Empires 4. Spearmen counter cavalry, cavalry counter all range units, archers counter spearmen, crossbowmen counter all armor units such as knights and men-at-arms, and men-at-arms are overall decent into just about every other unit. They are the tanks, if you will, quote-unquote, of Age of Empires 4. Then on top of that, siege counters siege. That's not exactly how it's supposed to be intentioned. Cavalry also technically counters siege, and if you know the basic counters in Age of Empires 4, you will be in a good spot for most of your multiplayer games. The next thing is one of the hardest things to master, even for Conqueror 3 players and above. It is scouting. Make sure when you're a new player, just utilize that scout as best as you possibly can. Send it out to collect some early sheep. Once you have those sheep, bring it back to the town center to begin collection. Then send your scout back out to the enemy base and check for 4 basic things they might be doing that can help you build a game plan for the rest of the game. 1. Check for a second TC, or if they are building one, so go over to the stone and see if they've collected about 300 to 400. You can collect directly on the stone resource itself, and you can see how much has been depleted, and you'll have a good understanding if they've actually collected enough to build a second TC. The second thing you'll be checking for is production buildings, specifically military ones, to see if we're going to be seeing any early aggression or if you scout multiple military units being produced already in the early part of the game. The third thing you will be checking for is to see if your opponents will be going for a fast castle build. This will imply that there will be a lot of units on that gold vein at the front or back of their base. Check this out if they've already gone into that second age. See if they're still collecting a ton of gold. If that's the case, you might be seeing a fast castle. Now, depending on the civilization, you'll have to counter that based on what the landmarks they could possibly go for. Last and certainly not least, especially against these three civilizations, the Mongols, the French, and the Ottomans, check to see if your opponent is going for early trade. By doing this, you'll be seeing one of the three landmarks that are specified to those civilizations. On top of that, you'll be seeing a little donkey pulling across on the backside of their base, collecting tons and tons of gold. You're going to want to stop that as quickly as possible. The next tip that I would highly recommend is selecting one build order and mastering that one build order. Before you do this though, see which playstyle suits you the best by going into the AI mode. Take your civilization that you have selected, choose between 2 to 3 builds for that civilization that you can find on YouTube. Then take it and play about 2 to 3 games each and then go into quick play and try them as well. See what you like, if you like being aggressive, if you like being passive, and see what you kind of focus in on, then select one build to master. If you want to climb the ranked ladder extremely fast, I would highly recommend taking this one build that you've chosen and master it all the way up until you get to that gold platinum elo before diversifying and trying other builds. A caveat to these builds are if you're playing team games. If you're playing team games, you and your teammates need to focus on one type of unit each. A perfect example would be if I am the English and you are the French and we're teammates, you would go as the French all French knights and I would go all English longbowmen or crossbowmen depending on what the other side was going. This would be a well-balanced comp and really emphasizes that in team games. That way you can also only focus on just those upgrades so you don't have to diversify your army too much. It makes it for a very, very strong and powerful team. Before going to rank, you'll also want a basic map understanding. My recommendation for new players would be to veto all water maps at first. That way you can focus on that one land build that you're perfecting and then slowly open it up as you get more and more comfortable. When ready though, I would recommend opening up one water map and learning one build for that specific map. You can climb a ton because a lot of lower players, platinum and below, don't utilize water correctly and you can get a lot of easy dubs. The next tip is to have a basic understanding of all 10 civilizations, soon to be up to 16, can't wait for the expansion. For this, I would recommend that you watch a few YouTube videos, like this one, like mine. Watch also casted games so you can see kind of what the pros do with certain ones. And it's also easy because the map is fully exposed so you can see everything going on and learn more and more about Civs. Don't worry too much about tier lists. As BC always says, it doesn't really matter up until you're conqueror and above. Any civilization can beat any other civilization on any given day. And don't worry too much about what specific civ for specific maps. Again, that will come into play later on, but for platinum and below, for the most part, any civ can beat any other civ on any single map. One of the last tips that I'll have for you is understand your basic win condition. Now this is incredibly important. Once you've selected your build, you're going to climb to that gold or platinum range with that certain civ. Understand your win conditions. A perfect example is the English feudal age all in. If you're truly going for feudal age all in, make sure you're giving all those resources and they're all going to something that will be useful to you to actually take down your opponent's base and kill them off completely, kill off all their economy and all their landmarks. If there is a chance that you're going to be rolling that into castle age, understand that early on and understand how much damage you have to do that you can age up behind it. And last and not least, have fun. This is a video game. You're meant to enjoy it. If you're on a losing streak, take a break. Don't worry about it. We all get tilted. Just try to have fun. This community is amazing. Join a few Discords to find more team games, to find more games that you might like. I would highly recommend Rising Empires and The Great Bara. Those are two great Discords. They have tons of people in them. Rising Empires also does tournaments for all ranks, so get involved in those. They're an absolute blast. I've cast those a few times. Would highly recommend trying out team games with your friends. It's a great way to bring them over. Master it, get good at certain kind of teams dynamics. It's a lot of fun. It opens up a lot of doors for you. And then on top of all of that, Nomad and mods. Mods in general are so much fun. They don't always work the best, but the Nomad map type is incredibly fun and really engaging, and there's a whole community around it. Would highly recommend checking out the Discord Nomadic Lands. If you've made it this far into the video and you have been enjoying this type of content, please do leave a like, comment, and subscribe. It would mean a lot to me, and it helps this video get out to more and more people. Hopefully we can expand the Age of Empires 4 scene, and we can continue to build it into this new expansion.